Giadíomh Carja. Today we are going to be looking at Measúnú a tree, which is what we must complete before St Patrick's Day now that we have arrived at the end of the poetry project. So our learning objective for today. By the end of today's lesson, I will understand what I have to complete for Measúnú a tree. Now this video isn't going to be that long, the voiceover is not going to be that long. Once you've watched it, I want you to come on the live class with me if you have any questions. I'll be there to give you tachiach, to give you ideas. Maybe we can come on together and discuss the picture inference bit. You'll understand what I'm talking about whenever we get to that section of the PowerPoint, okay? It's not going to be a proper live class. It's going to be more so for tachiach and me giving you inspiration and help with your Measúnú, okay? So we're not going to be learning anything new. Once you've asked your questions, you can then leave the live class and you can start on your Measúnú today, okay? There's 2 parts, so I've given you this to do on Friday's class and in Wednesday's class, and you will see in this PowerPoint that the deadline of the Measúnú is Wednesday, okay? So how will I be assessed? 20% of your result will come from your effort on Google Classroom during lockdown, okay? So that means if you've been handing in every piece of work on time, putting in a lot of effort, not just handing it in, because I know what your standard of English is like, where you should be sitting. So if I'm marking your work and I know you haven't put in a lot of effort, even if you've done everything, you're not going to get full marks, okay? If you haven't done everything, if you've missed out on a few pieces and you have spare time between now and the deadline of Wednesday, go back over and fix up and clean up your Google Classroom if you have time. It'll ultimately increase that 20% chance, okay? 40% of your result will come from the poetry recital, and I'm going to talk you through what we have to do for the poetry recital today. And the last 40% of your result will come from a piece of creative writing you're going to do based on picture inference. We looked at picture inference skills before midterm, but we're going to recap on them today in this video. So the first part of the Measúnú, which is worth 40%, is the poetry recital. The poem you have to recite is The Early Purges by Seamus Heaney. Okay, so you can't go through the poetry project booklet and pick one. You have to do The Early Purges by Seamus Heaney. You must make a TikTok of your recital, okay? I know you're all gaffle at TikTok and ish, okay? So the majority of you, I would say near enough everybody knows how to use it. If you don't have TikTok, if you don't like TikTok, if you don't use TikTok, you can just video yourself, okay? You can just take a video of yourself if you don't have TikTok, if you're not allowed to use TikTok or whatever, okay? There must be music in the background of your recital, and I have an example to show you in a minute. You'll understand what I mean by music. The music I have chosen in the example is just music, okay? There's no lyrics, there's no words in it. However, if you find a song that you really like and that you think ties in with the poem, then you can put it in, as long as the volume's nice and low that I can still hear you reciting your poem. So the video can either be, so this goes for if you're making a TikTok or if you're just making a video yourself, okay? It can either be of yourself reciting the poem, so just like you take a selfie, like you can just record yourself saying the poem. If you want to get really creative, you can make up a dance routine, okay? I know you're all dancing whenever at break time and stuff in the classroom, so you can run with that and make up a dance routine if you want. Or you'll see the example that I have done. I didn't want to record myself, okay, like a selfie, and I expect that some other people wouldn't want to do that either. So obviously if you want to do that, fantastic, okay, Janie. But what you'll see I have done in the example is that I have put pictures along with it, okay? So pictures that are relevant to the poem, not just selfies of me and my friends at the park or of what I had for dinner last night, okay? They're all taken from the topic of the poem. So now this is our success criteria for the poetry recital. As I've said, your TikTok must be clear and loud so I can hear you. So even though you have to have music in the background, there's a way on TikTok, which I'm sure you all know, to change the volume of the different sounds. So play through with the settings and make sure that your voice is the loudest thing I hear. You mustn't read it too fast, okay? Try and follow the rhythm of the poem. And I've never used TikTok before. I used it for the first time to do this example. So you will see that I'm talking quite fast in the example. That's because I didn't know there was a time limit on the video. I'd only given myself 30 seconds, okay, which wasn't long enough. I'm trying really fast to get the last stanza said. So try and expand that time limit. I'm sure you all know how to do it. As specified before, there must be appropriate music attached to the TikTok. What does this mean? It can't have any bad language in it. It can't be inappropriate in terms of themes or anything, okay? So it needs to be appropriate music. It can be, as I've specified before, music that's just instrumental, or it can have lyrics. But you must make sure it is quiet enough that I can still hear your voice reciting the poem. Your TikTok must have a video, either of yourself dancing or just saying the poem, or a collage of relevant pictures, which is in the example I'm going to show you now. Deadline. This TikTok must be uploaded onto Google Classroom before Wednesday, the 10th of March at 11 a.m. So on Wednesday morning, when we have English on the timetable, I will not be uploading any work, okay? I am giving you that hour on Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. to complete your Measúnú, okay? And then it must be on Google Classroom by 11 a.m. Now, this is the example of the poetry TikTok I did. Whose words are these? I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Okay, gorgeous. So, as I've said, that is very fast, so try and give yourself at least a minute, maybe a minute 30 seconds, so you can really engage with the rhythm of the poem. Especially something to note is that poem I did is actually for the Bliain, so that's the poem the Bliain are going to be doing. Obviously, you know by now you're doing the early purges, and the early purges is longer than Unstopping by the Woods, so you will need that minute or that minute and a half. So play around with the sentence if you're using TikTok, and make sure that you're not rushing in order to get it all in and to fit it in. Embrace the rhythm and make sure I can hear the rhythm of the poem. Okay, so that's the example of the collage with relevant pictures. As I said, you can just take a selfie of yourself, a video selfie, or you can make up a dance routine, whatever you want to do. Get really creative with it, okay? So that's section 1, and that counts for 40% of your Measúnú. Moving on to section 2, okay? We're talking about creative writing on picture inference. So what we're going to do now is we're going to recall what is involved with picture inference. Now, I have copied and pasted some of this information from the lesson we did on picture inference. However, if you're still not sure about it, firstly, hop onto the live class and ask me questions and we'll discuss it together. Or secondly, go back and watch the picture inference lesson that we did from a few weeks ago, and it will be able to recap your memory, okay? So what does inference mean? This is whenever we use clues from the story or picture to figure out what the author, illustrator, or photographer has not directly said or shown. Okay, so basically, obviously pictures can't talk. Sometimes you do get pictures that have words in them, but the pictures we're The pictures we're looking at today, they don't have words in them, so you need to use the picture and figure out what's going on in it, okay? So how do I infer? Your role in inferring is you must be a detective and find the clues in the picture, okay? Think about what you already know. This means what can you see from the picture? What is happening? It would be very obvious, be it they're in a classroom, they're at a party, they're in a park, they're in school, okay? So think about what you already know, the things that are obvious from the pictures. Then you must ask yourself, are there any characters in the picture? Okay, how do you think they feel? Try and embrace what's going on. Put yourself in their shoes. If you were doing what these characters were doing, how would you feel? What clues can you see in the picture? So we already kind of touched on this, the weather, the location. So if it's sunny, you're going to assume it's summer. If it's raining, you're going to assume maybe it's winter, or well, in Ireland it could be any season. But you know, embrace the weather and see how you think that season is or where they are. The location, as mentioned, are they at work? Are they in school? Are they at a concert? A really good way to picture this in your head and to sort of try and help you figure out is ask yourself the question, what would the picture say if it was written in words? So try and tell the story of the picture. And then the last step we're going to do is put the pieces all together. So our creative writing is going to focus on equality, which, as we know and we've been working towards throughout the whole poetry project, is the overarching theme of this topic. So we are going to use this picture here, okay? And we are going to use this picture to write a creative story. So you're not going to tell me there are people standing in front of a gate. It looks like there's a park in the background. it looks like two girls are older than the rest of the girls. That's not what you're going to do. That's too descriptive. You're going to get creative. You're going to write a story, okay? So the way you write the story is what's happening in the picture. So you need to figure out all that information first so you can write your story. But I don't want you to write that and submit it to me, okay? That would be for your draft or for your plan. What you're going to do is you're going to give the characters names, okay? So what are they called? Tell me all about their lives. How do they feel? How do you think they feel? What's going on in this picture, okay? And remember, as I've already specified, that the poetry project's theme is equality. So is equality being depicted in this image? What does the verb depicted mean? It means shown. Is equality happening in this picture? So if we look really closely at this picture, we can see black children stopped by a fence, okay? So they are obviously segregated. They're split off from this park. And if we zoom into the park is filled with white people, okay? So this picture most certainly illuminates and highlights the issue of racism, which of course shows inequality. Okay, so you're not going to write all that descriptive work for me. You're going to make it creative. Give the characters names. Tell me how they feel. What are they doing? Were they out for a walk? Do they want to play in this park with the white children? Maybe they don't like the white children, okay? Maybe the white children want the black children to come in and play. It's entirely up to yourself. This is your creative writing, okay? Let's look at the success criteria for our creative writing. As I've already specified, your writing must be creative and not descriptive. So you're not going to tell me there are 5 or 6, how many there are, black children standing at a gate. You're going to tell me their names. You're going to make up a story based on this one picture, how they feel, what they're doing. Your writing should be at least 150 to 200 words. Okay, I don't want anybody handing me in one paragraph or a few sentences. This is a Measúnú and you won't get any marks. If you've reached your 200 word limit and you want to write some more information, you have some more details to give and to say, most certainly write them down. I will mark it if it's a wee bit longer, okay? Your writing should be organised by using capital letters, full stops, commas and paragraphs, okay? At this stage in Bliain, I shouldn't be highlighting on your work that you don't have a capital letter at a name or at the start of a sentence or that the end of your sentence there's no full stop, okay? And this is a story, which means it shouldn't just be one lump of writing. You should be splitting it up into paragraphs, okay? What I don't want to see anywhere, what I don't want to see anywhere is this small I, especially when it's by itself and you're talking about yourself, okay? It is always a capital I whenever you're referring to yourself. So when it's by itself, it's always going to be capital. But even if it is put with I'm, I'll, I've, I'd, words like that, that if you break it up, you still get I, which means me, okay? Any of those words are going to have a capital I. I do not want to have to correct that in your creative writing, okay? You, as in the letter U, is not a word. It is you spelled Y-O-U. Whether you're talking to me, one person, or whether you're addressing every single person in College to First or a million people. Use with an S on the end of it. It's not a word either, okay? So what I want everybody to do once they finish their creative writing, before they submit it, is go through the success criteria and have a look, okay? Make sure that you have your capital letters, your paragraphs, your full stops, your capital I's, and that you haven't written the letter U or yes or use, okay? Y-O-U. And again, the deadline for this piece of creative writing, it must be uploaded onto Google Classroom by Wednesday, the 10th of March at 11 a.m. So, as a recap, I will not be uploading a video, a voiceover on Wednesday. I am giving you the rest of today's class, the rest of Friday's class, to start your Measúnú. And then if you have any free time on Monday or Tuesday, you can do it then as well. And then the hour on Wednesday's class. And then I want it uploaded by Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. whenever English class is over. Okay, Carja? Recap. Make sure you check the success criteria for each piece before you upload them. Okay, so I've made the success criteria so you can almost correct your work before I correct it. That means that if you're going through your TikTok and you haven't done one of the success criterias, for example, if you've read it too fast, you can say, okay, I've read this too fast, I need to re-record it. Or if you're looking through your creative writing and you've done small I's everywhere, you'll know to correct that. That means that you're going to be uploading a better piece of work to me and you're going to get more marks. The deadline for both pieces is Wednesday the 10th of March at 11 a.m. More. Okay, Carja, so once you've watched this video, pop on to Collaborate and ask me any questions you have, okay? If you don't have any questions, if you're 100% confident that you could do the Measúnú now without asking me any questions, then you can just get started, okay? But if you do have any questions about the success criteria or what exactly is expected of you, I will be on Collaborate now to answer your questions. Okay, Carja? Gar Slán.